Hello everyone, it's Jimmy here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to review a very interesting lens, the Voigtlander 28mm f2 Apo-Lanthar. Now, why this lens is particularly interesting to me is because, first of all, I've tested the 50 Apo from Voigtlander quite a long time ago when it first came out, and it competed quite well against the Leica's 50 Apo at the time. And then Voigtlander released their 35 Apo. Now that lens is not that interesting to me because it's quite a bit larger than the Leica counterparts. What about this 28 Apo here? There are two reasons why I think it's very unique. First of all, it's the smallest Apo lens from Voigtlander. Now granted, they all have the same diameter. This 28 here is actually the shortest, shorter than the 50 and certainly shorter than the 35. And the second thing is, Leica has not even invented a 28 Apo to compete with this product here. So it's quite unique in that sense. I've reviewed the also very amazing Voigtlander 28mm Ultron against the 28mm Summicron here, the non-Apo but ASPH version. That lens yielded very comparable result to the 28 here. So today we're going to see if the Apo is gonna win the battle against the 28 in terms of image quality. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so in this first set of photos here, you might have noticed I didn't put the object at the center of the image. That's because these lenses are already so sharp to begin with, there's really no point comparing the center sharpness. So I put it at the mid-frame of the image, and as you can see, both lenses still performed very well. They're tech sharp starting from wide open. I couldn't really tell much of a difference. The Voigtlander is maybe a tiny bit sharper if you really zoom in, but in real life, you wouldn't notice a difference. Now in terms of bokeh, I do think the Voigtlander is a tiny bit smoother here as well. But all in all, there is not enough difference between these two lenses, at least in this scenario, to really separate them apart. So in the next set of photos, we're going to take a look at edge sharpness. Alright, so again, both lenses performed so well in this test. The Leica 28 Summicron, being quite an old lens, still yields almost corner-to-corner sharpness. You can only tell the difference by looking at the binocular at the very top left corner of the image, and you'll notice the Voigtlander is maybe a tiny bit sharper there. But otherwise, I would say they performed equally well. So when it comes to sharpness, both of these lenses are sharp enough, at least in my book. Now, the next set of photos is to test the Voigtlander's chromatic aberration. Let's take a look. Okay, so bear with me, that's the only shiny metal object in our house. It's not the most beautiful thing, but as you can see, the Voigtlander does have a little bit less chromatic aberration than the Leica. And in the next set of photos, as you can see, it's a very difficult scene. Even if I remember correctly, even the Leica 35 Apple would struggle at very high contrast areas such as these tree branches in the backgrounds. And as you can see here, the Voigtlander again is a bit better than the Leica, but the Leica is not too bad either. It's at least a lot better than those 1.4 Summilux lenses, but the Apple does make a difference here. Now in the last test, I'm gonna check out the vignette of these two lenses. Let's take a look. Alright, so as you can see, they both have quite a bit of vignettes wide open at f2. But I would say at f4, the vignette is almost gone on both lenses. So again, they're identical in this area as well. But this is not a huge deal because you can fix them easily in the post. Oh, and also I have to mention that in all these tests, I haven't applied the profile on the Leica. So, in terms of image quality, the conclusion we can draw here is they're both very good lenses. The Voigtlander is a tiny bit sharper at the very edge of the frame, for one. For two, being an Apple chromatic design, it does show quite a bit less purple fringing in extreme conditions, but that doesn't mean the 28 Summicron is a bad lens. It still performed very well in this regard. And third, they both have quite a bit of vignette. I would say if you are not too picky about, edge corner sharpness and chromatic aberration, these two lenses are almost identical. So next, let's take a look at their build quality, handling, and size. As you can see here, the Voigtlander is certainly a bit larger than the Summicron. I would say it's about the size of a 35 Summilux FLE. That being said, this time around, Voigtlander have included this beautiful metal lens hood for free here. So well done, Voigtlander. But as you can see, because of the shape of the lens hood and the size of the lens, there's quite a bit of viewfinder blockage if you compare these two lenses. Leica has smartly dig a hole here so you can see through it, but overall, both are not too bad. In terms of weight, they're also about equal. Maybe the Voigtlander is a little bit heavier, but it won't make a difference here as well. When it comes to the aperturing, the Leica is certainly very clicky, very smooth. So is the focus ring here. Very good. What about the Voigtlander? Oh wow, the Voigtlander actually has a better damping and better clicky sound when it comes to the aperturing. But the focus ring, I would say, is a little bit smoother on the Leica. And also, I prefer the focus tab on the Leica versus Voigtlander's design here, which is more retro looking, but I wouldn't say it's the best when it comes to operation. Now, there's another big design change. Well, as you can see here, it no longer comes with the silver ring. Now, I know a lot of people hate the silver ring on a lot of the Voigtlander lenses, but I actually quite like it. It gives it more of a, retro look. This time around, it doesn't come with that, so I would say it's more of a traditional looking lens now. Either way, you'll most likely put the lens hood on, so there's really not a huge deal. Would I recommend this lens? I would say if you're after the best 28mm lens optically on a Leica M system, I would say go for it, because it is the best right now in the market. There's just no competition. But I would say if you're not too critical about, edge sharpness and a little bit of chromatic aberration, the Voigtlander Ultron is still a very solid choice. So is the Leica Summicron, because the Summicron here just is such a beautiful lens. This square hood design is going away. I'm aware that on the newer version of this lens, they made the lens hood round, and also it was an integrated lens hood, which I'm not a big fan of. So if you can pick one of these up in the second-hand market, I would also say go for it, because as you can see from the tests, it's good enough. Alright, so that's it for today's video, I guess. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.